Toots, give me a sound check.
I'm right here. Check 1, 2.
Yeah, I think we're good.
Scoop-a-doo.
We're good.
Sorry, that's my wife. Checking on the wife.
Hello, hello. I hope this is recording.
I trust you guys.
Alright.
You guys are professionals.
Shit. So we are live on episode number 2 of the Aztlan Airwaves, and we are live on YouTube. This is episode number 2 of the podcast. I am very pleased to have my other cousin, Mando Chavira, in the building, aka Tutu.
That's me. I'm looking at this thing now.
One of the no doubt. We gotta stay connected to both platforms. But in the building with one of the greatest guys I know. I said that about Angel, but these two dudes are absolutely amazing. One of the most creative guys I know. I've looked up to this guy since I was a kid, and I'm really happy to have him on. I'm really happy to have him over, just kicking it today. But
you flatter me, sir.
Yeah, but happy to have you on to talk about, your screenplay that you're writing, and I'm excited to be a part of it. And when we put this thing out through the whole Aztlan platform that we've been building collectively for freaking 6 years, I feel like finally get to use this platform to promote other people and stuff like that. So I'm excited about it.
Yeah, to put something out, just it's something creative and be expressive. It's gonna be interesting,
Yeah.
And it's funny because we wouldn't be doing this at all without you putting all this stuff together. Because I'm not really sitting around writing screenplays too often, anything else. But I think just it's some inspiration for all of us to kind of go through and find something interesting like that. I do enjoy writing. I don't do it that much anymore since I've been out of school. So just the few pages we've even started writing, you can already feel the momentum building of just, going forward and going forward. So just trying to find the story, and I think the back and forth that you, me, and Angel have had has been interesting. And then just even right now, like we had that moment we were talking about implementing, a device for some tension, and I could start to see the cinematography, like of how the scenes would cut from this to that to that. And it was pretty exciting just kind of going through it because you could just feel that something fun would be there.
Yeah.
And it's like we're not trying to make Ben-Hur or anything, just making something that we can make. But I mean, we've all loved movies forever being kids.
Totally.
It's fun to kind of dabble and actually putting one out there, especially in this day and age where you scroll through and you're just like anything can fucking get made.
Oh no, that's
so
totally.
Like,
Angel, can you check the mics? I want to make sure that everything's getting recorded. Just because last time you were looking at it last time, so squeeze by. So I know I'm seeing the spike when I'm talking, but dude, can you keep talking a little bit and see if it's
sure.
Is his mic?
Angels side over there. Nothing. Something. Maybe.
Is his mic getting recorded?
Looks like. Say something else?
What? Anything else? Something else?
It looks like it, yeah.
It is?
Yeah. I don't know, yours.
Mine's so much.
All over the place.
Yeah, mine, my vocals, that's why I was saying, come check it out, because I see mine spiking, but his is so subtle.
Because I'm very smooth when I talk.
Smooth operator.
I speak softly, unfortunately.
You guys want to...
Dude, that's still, I was seeing flashes of the scenes. I thought it was fucking sick. Like that. Dude, hitting that each thing and just I don't know if it would be quick fade, black fade, quick cuts in between, but you build to that spot where you see the altar, and then just the hand creaking that door open, and then as soon as you fully expose it, just utter silence between that.
Okay.
And then and then that would be you entering into that space or whatever. And that would be, I don't know, it's gonna be interesting.
Okay.
From there, the door shutting behind you, maybe killing a lot. It'll be cool.
I'm down.
Yeah, I think
down.
that's gonna be awesome.
So.
You guys want to pause for a minute?
Yeah, sure.
Got it? Let's see if we got it.
I like that.
So you two, we're checking our technicals. The technical difficulties, but stay tuned. So it is.
Oh, here.
Why is Jesus.
I don't know.
That's crazy.
I couldn't tell you.
My
I don't know.
voice
Yeah.
was made for these things.
Mine are like
Smooth like butter.
Smooth like butter. I can hear it. Nice.
With like some coconut oil.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, baby.
Some of that MCT.
Ooh.
Giving the run.
Ooh. Smooth going in. Smooth lotion coming out.
Alright, here we go. You guys are still rolling here. Should be good. And your lips.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. It's back. Oh, thanks, sir.
Quick cameo.
Yeah.
One and only Angel.
Rock.
Carlos. Red Rocket.
Red Rock.
Check it out.
Pocket rocket and chocolate.
One of the most hated men on online gaming. Just simply for his screen name.
What's his screen name?
Username. Gamer tag.
Yeah, it's gamer tag. Rocket707. For whatever reason, it just elicits people to just hate him.
Don't like it.
You got a million friends, I'm shitty.
It doesn't even matter what game it
Any
is.
room.
Any game he would play, there'd be everybody there, and all of a sudden you just hear one person. A rocket. A rocket. And they would do it. Oh, one guy did it over and over. A rocket. A rocket. Angel said it didn't even have his mic on. He had to go find his mic, plug it in, click. What? Fuck you.
What, dude?
I don't even know. It was just some random.
Yeah, some random guy. Just gave
Fuck.
That's
Yeah.
hilarious, dude.
So,
What game? What Xbox?
Yeah, they were playing Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Where'd you come up with the rocket name?
I don't remember.
you like to
dude.
drink Red Rocket beer? No.
I don't know. I don't remember.
I don't know. You just always have fast.
What's your gamer name?
It's Bosch Doer 44.
Oh, okay, so your Twitter handle, right?
Yeah, pretty much the same.
Okay, and where'd you come up with yours?
It's like a mix of two of my favorite artists, Hieronymus Bosch and Albrecht Dürer.
Okay.
So those two, and then 4 is my favorite number.
Nice.
Yeah, so those in there.
Yeah. Sweet.
Yeah.
Mine's also my Twitter handle. Just
Angels.
Oh yeah, Angels. Yeah, Angels.
How do you survive in this world without using your Twitter handle to
Yeah.
identify you? Right. Like, it's pretty much going to be our form of currency. The whole pay things.
Yeah.
Future, right?
Well, they got pay things on Facebook now.
Right? Oh my
Yeah,
God.
you
How
can
do you
send
say
some
so?
money. Yeah, I know you don't.
Yeah.
Well, you guys both don't. You guys aren't really on social media that much. Like Angel
Yeah.
and you will interact a little bit on Twitter.
That's.
But you guys both don't have Instagram.
and if anything, I'll like if
And-
there's anything I'm doing on Facebook, it's to
Post
Post what
yeah,
you're doing.
something that I posted. Yeah, what you scroll Facebook when you're taking a shit or something?
Yeah, mostly.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't invest in Facebook. It becomes too much, and then then you start diving in on like looking at people and stuff. It's like I did the Myspace age right when I came out of high school. Everybody was pushing Myspace, and I didn't want to do it. And I finally, I don't know how long I finally did it, and I was way too deep in it. It was
Yeah. You know what we gotta do?
Just doing blog
Is-
posts. and
Yeah,
shit.
that's what I was gonna just
I
say.
was
Remember I
ready.
made you guys bloggers on Aztlan?
Yeah.
We gotta just fucking start
Yeah.
rolling on it. It's like, I know there's probably a way where I can make multiple blogs like on the website. So like when you log in, everything that you have just
Mhm.
pops up in sequence, you
Yeah.
know, and so you have your own page, which
Yeah.
would be cool because as you share it, it'll drive traffic to the
Mhm.
whole Aztlan Industries website, but you're getting your word out. And like we just said, we've been building this platform for freaking 6 years,
Yeah.
and so we're gonna have notoriety. We have, like when I write a blog post, like
Mhm.
that last one I did was of La Bamba. I got pretty big engagement spike, you know, because I just posted it on all my social media platforms. Hey, I just wrote an article, link in my bio for Instagram, and then I posted it on Twitter. Isai Morales retweeted it, which was awesome.
Yeah. That's nice. That's cool.
And then Facebook had just a bunch of people like comment on it because, you know, La Bamba, who doesn't love that movie, who's just
Fascist.
yeah.
Donald Trump. I could probably guarantee you, Donald Trump, Jeff Sessions,
We're gonna build a wall
Mitch
around
McConnell.
Pacoima.
Paul Ryan does not love the bomb. All these.
Oh jeez.
I would say that. Yeah, I could probably. I can go through this.
Oh
with
god.
So, yeah, not my favorite people. So
Oh
if
jeez.
you don't love Obama, you can
Yeah,
get out
I
the
know.
door
I know.
and come back. But yeah, maybe I could post some stuff. I don't know. I ended up having to delete the MySpace because after like doing the blog post stuff, I started to feel like what the, I just felt so self-involved with everything, so I just had to destroy it. So I haven't taken the plunge into Facebook. Kenny does enough Facebooking for both of us.
Yeah, for both of us.
Yeah, which works out. But I do enjoy the Twitter because you get the news stuff, even though it depresses the hell out of me. So
That's like the one thing I stay away from, dude.
Yeah.
Since I told you guys this before, since election night,
Yeah.
I like unfollowed every single like news site, like everything, left or right. I don't give a damn. I
Yeah.
don't have cable, so like
Yeah.
I've been like relaxed because it's so easy to just go down, you know, the rabbit hole and shit and the loop.
Yep.
But I just like to think that, well, there needs to be a big change. Both sides, I think, are far right, far left, are full of it. I think, in my opinion,
Yeah.
and I think what we've got to do is constructively come together, talk about how we can improve things for the common good, how we can improve things, and how we as individuals also can improve and add more value. There's a lot of things that are wrong, but why I stopped trying to follow the media posts and stuff was so that I can just clear my mind and just like come at things from a place where I'm like assuming and giving people the benefit of the doubt that you're a good person too, and you know, until you prove me wrong, you know, we're gonna, because yeah, I got deep involved in that too, where I'm just like, screw this and screw everything.
Yeah.
I was just like, you know what, I'm done. Let's just work on myself.
It's definitely a good, you know, definitely a good way to go or a good option, and I've thought about doing that too. But it becomes, it would be hard to disconnect because I can't not know some of these things that are happening, like the border separation stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I was reading those stories. It's like it hurts your freaking heart. And it's like depressing as all hell.
Yeah.
But it feels like to just ignore it or not pay attention to it, you're gonna kind of let it go. I feel like is like even. I just have to. I don't know. I have to know what's going on with something because if it comes down to where I have to vote on something or you know anything up, I want to be able to have at least some idea of what the landscape is. So that I can kind of put things together because there's so much happening at all the times, and it's just you know it's definitely disappointing and it's discouraging. And in terms of like the far right, the far left, and thing where there is no middle is again disheartening, and it just depresses me to no end that the people that these are grown-ups that live work in Washington or the senators and representatives different things speakers of the House, all that, where we can't do we tell children to share, be nice, be polite, compromise with each other, to do these different things. We stress all these things for people as they grow up, and then when people enter into like public office, now we've entirely forgotten that is a concept that exists, or that's a mutually beneficial thing, or that's like an essential thing for us to be able to actually live our lives, is that we actually have to concede some things, or realize that maybe I don't have all the answers, maybe this part of my argument isn't perfect and what yours isn't perfect, so let's both give and take a little bit to find something that will benefit the most amount of people, as opposed to us both just sinking the ship together because neither of us gets the W. Neither of us gets the win. We don't want to lose, so we'll burn the whole fucking house down. To do that. So it's like
Totally.
I would love for some thing to snap out where they finally lose all this shit. But
see just when you were saying that, what I was thinking, like, dude, yeah, totally, you're right. And you said once they enter public office, all those rules go out there. But then again, that makes me think, like, is that public office that does that, or that individual? Are your standards and you're more strong enough to, when you are in that public office, to say, you know what, I learned this, and I learned how to compromise and share and really just like engage with another human being. Like, I think one of the big issues is like, and it's not just in politics, but just in regular everyday life, is like people don't really listen to understand another person, a human being, gain their perspective and their insight. we're so on edge that we listen to just enough so that we can try to make an argument or a, you know, a statement back at them. It's like, oh, well, this, and we point fingers a lot, and myself included, you know, and that's one thing that I'm trying to work on. But we really gotta, like, you know, see ourselves, empathize and see ourselves in that other person's shoes and that perspective, and really try to understand where they're coming from and why and what's behind that. Is it really a strong motivation to, you know, stomp something out, or is there like an underlying insecurity or some pain or hurt, you know? So yeah, we gotta it's a big thing, idea and topic that we can talk about completely for, you know, hours.
But what I think is, in that respect, which I understand that, but that's, I think, bringing somebody down again to a personal level, which is good, but then once you enter public, that's what I'm saying, public office is one thing, you take on a mantle of where you're like, I'm a Democrat, this is my district, or this is my whatever, this is my position, or this is whatever, so they feel like they have to, you know, not rise to a level, but they have to meet certain, not look weak in certain respects, and have to, you know, done some type of work, get pushed up, like postured up, and made something happen. Like, especially, or they have to take the sides of everybody else, so they can't disagree. And then if they don't, then, you know, they don't get reelected, or they don't get this, or they don't get that. There's no incentive for them to do this, like, actual mutual beneficial thing for the masses, because it's gonna hurt them politically in the end.
Totally.
That kind of stuff is where it's like, there's no incentivization to cooperate with each other at this point. Because the Democrats have seen that when the Republicans stalled government and weren't doing anything, you know, nothing happened, and nobody really has hurt them for it. They haven't, you know, had any losses for it. So now they're going to do it too, because it only makes sense that, you know, they're going to fight fire with fire in terms of being, you know, obstructionists, which, again, makes sense in terms of playbook. Nobody's getting damaged from it. So it's like, so they might as well. So then nobody's doing anything because they're both just
being stubborn.
Yeah, hitting that one.
Exactly.
Rock they want to do.
So that's the issue, and what I was trying to say is, like, when people are like that, then someone is gonna have to bite the bullet and say, you know what, we really need to talk. We really need to understand what's going on and stop acting like stubborn, you know, jackasses. But the other thing is too, how you were saying, like, people when people are on either side, they stay, you know, they vote completely in line with whatever party they are, just because, you know, that their political morale compass says to do that, right? But the thing is, you know, sometimes you got some ideas that fit in both categories, and the thing is, we need to not be so, like, extreme, and that how there is that two-party system. I think that's a big issue.
Yeah, it's a team thing.
Yeah, it's just like sports, you know, you see Battle of the Bay, Raiders and Niners, players fighting. I'm like, dude, you guys are fighting over a team, you know. Let's look at the big, people aren't thinking long-term enough. They're thinking this short, instant gratification. What we gotta be thinking about is long-term, our legacy that we leave behind. What are we doing now to invest in the future? Like, are we planting seeds that are going to grow trees where the next generation is going to have some shade? Yeah. Or are we just continuing the drama and just saying, oh, then the kids can take over? No, somewhere it needs to, you know, we need to work on it. But also, like I said, that two-party kind of system, I think, is an issue, because people are so, you know, aligned with that, and we just got to really step back and, like, can they do something other than two parties? Can other parties be involved? Can there be a new creation of a new party where people are like, hey, you know what, I do have some ideals that would put me on the left, but I have other ideas that, you know, would put me in the line on the right. Is there a faction that we can create?
Well, there are a lot of parties already. I mean, there's a bunch of them, but it's just the fact that we've established these two so much that the only way to be, like, people just know these two and get exposure from them, like, to get exposure to the other parties, would mean to take away from these ones, and the people that, you know, control the exposure value, which is essentially just the way you take everything, is they just focus on the main two parties, because that's where, I mean, basically the money is too. I mean, there's not money in the crazy weird parties, and also they don't really get taken that seriously because the candidates sometimes are, you know, off the wall crazy, you know, so that can sometimes bring down, you know, people's view of them. Especially when you see a lot of these things that come up.
It's,
you know.
Yeah, man, it's interesting. It's
And there's just so much information.
Yeah, there's
like,
exactly.
The last vote that went through that we had to do locally, you know, I'm reading through the voter packet, and you're trying to go through these different people for just your local offices, and it's like, you know, I'm reading, you know, little, if they were good enough to put in some, not bio or, you know, like a whole, like they'll write this passage in the actual voter booklet where you can see where they make their case and they kind of do the argument for it. I felt like that was one of the better things that I had to kind of make a judgment on, just because somebody, you know, expresses themselves in writing, but then again, some people don't express themselves in writing very well either, so that can be a detriment, but it's like, what do you take precedent on? So it's all complicated, obviously, and it's that responsibility of being in this democracy, I guess, trying to figure that out, but I feel like the highest level is kind of given up on trying to improve it, and so that's why it's like, I guess, you know, they always say to focus in on your local level, which is important, because I mean, that's what's most directly affecting you.
Exactly.
But the federal stuff is still pretty freaky, just because of the sweeping stuff that they can impose, like with the, you know, the marijuana stuff, where, you know, they can come through.
I know, they raided some
Yeah, they can do that all the time.
Insane.
So it's kind of freaky, so.
Definitely, it's interesting, and definitely some change needs to happen, and definitely some conversation and stuff. But yeah, I do like your point about into the local government, because really that's what's impactful in our day-to-day life, but also that I feel like that those are the only factions of government that actually care about the people. They live in that community, they're part of that community, so yeah, you know, that's where we need to start, and we need to start even, you know, smaller than that, neighborhoods, or cities, neighborhoods, and then in our house. How are we teaching the next generation? How are we teaching our kids? How are we loving our families, kind of thing?
Yeah.
It's definitely, you know, it's crazy. We can definitely talk about this for hours, but I would definitely want to hear more about your screenplay, how you came to the idea about it, what you're juiced up about.
Yeah, I mean, the idea, again, was seeing what we could feasibly do with the resources that we have.
Yeah.
And what traditionally are movies that can do well on limited budget, but then also seeing, I mean, the atmosphere right now of really good, you know, horror movies is pretty high, which is good. I mean, I don't think we could realistically, you know, aspire to the Get Outs or like the Quiet Places at this point, because again, we're just starting off, so it's like, I feel like being reasonable on what you can knock out. So finding a genre, you know, in terms of things that, you know, they're classical, but have a lot of room for you to work in. So that's why I liked that idea for us to be able to kind of do. And then when you have a limited budget, I think it just really, from everything that you end up seeing in terms of like Ramirez, or, you know, even things like the Trona movies that have existed for so long, you know, so with limited budgets, the ingenuity and the creative things that they do to circumvent that stuff, or even high budget movies, not high budget, but like Hollywood movies that have more limited budgets, you know, when they run out of money, that's when they kind of do those more creative things that sometimes become iconic. Because they had the money to do what they originally thought. They had to do something more, you know, on the spot, or more just involved, but create something.
Like what? Are you thinking of any in particular?
Well, like Nightmare on Elm Street, I think, is one of them. Like, I believe even that scene just where he's coming through the wall, where Freddy Krueger like comes through the wall.
Yeah.
You know, they had to figure out, they didn't have that much money to do those kind of things. And you see where in the remake, you know, they did that CGI effect on the wall that was just fucking garbage. And you're just like, you know, I don't know how much, I don't pay for CGI, I don't know how much it costs, but I know it ain't fucking cheap.
Yeah.
But it's just, there's nothing, like, you just think back on, you can watch that original scene over and over again of her sleeping, and him just dropping in from that wall, like, basically I think it's like elastic kind of fabric, which he slides into, and it's just so much more powerful and creepy, and even just the reverse of it, and just like the tricks of the camera timing, the slow mo, and just the way they manipulate it.
Nice.
That really can have an impact on you. Like, you can feel like that stuff, those practical things that are probably maybe a little bit more difficult or cheaper, to do, you have to figure out, but they just look better, I feel like, and have something else. So I feel like we have opportunities to do that. We've seen stuff, and I think we can pull off some pretty cool stuff.
Definitely.
Some of the things that happened in that, you gotta do that.
No, go ahead.
No, dude.
Some of the things that happened in that, I feel like they were actually trying to shoot like way too big based on, we're gonna improve on some of the iconic things.
Like about the new movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's where it was like really shitty. That's why you're saying it's shitty, because it took away from the element that made it good. It was like the fact that it wasn't CGI and you could make it like.
Well, it didn't exist.
Yeah, the fact that it was like something that was like really simple and subtle, almost subtle, because that when he pushes his head through or whatever, and then she kind of wakes up and he's gone.
Yeah.
It has, I feel like, more of an impact, because even in the original, that's what we were saying again with the original and the remake, how they were taking from, in the remake, they were taking from even more than just the original. Because the original was really good because there was spots and parts of it where people were sleeping and it toys more with being awake and being half asleep and being asleep.
It's got more nuance to it.
Yeah, and you can kind of, that's where it has almost that psychological thing where it's like, oh shit, maybe she was asleep. Where you as a viewer, you're looking at it and you're like, oh, she was probably asleep, or was she asleep?
Kind of like the bathtub scene.
The bathtub scene, that scene you're talking about. And like other shit, like the subtle shit like that, that's the shit that's like, that made it really good and made it the building block for the franchise.
And those are all filmmaker like choices and different little I know.
Like you're saying, they didn't have the budget for any of that shit, so it was really
working with what you have, where you are,
Yeah,
and having an idea, vision of something,
what you can, with what you have, that whole quote Roosevelt. But it also, like what you guys are talking about, it reminds me of Tony Robbins has a quote saying, it's never a lack, the issue is never a lack of resources, it's a lack of resourcefulness. Are they tapping into absolutely everything that they have at their disposal? Because oftentimes, if we're honest with ourselves, we're not. We're and really just honing in and just, instead of saying, well, when I get this or get that, then I'll start moving and start working. So yeah, just being resourceful, and then that's what me and Angel were talking about, just this weekly, powwow that we've been doing in our mastermind group, where we're just brainstorming. Yeah. It's great when we get, the creative juices flowing and we're thinking and stuff. And I even mentioned to him earlier when he called me, I was like, dude, like, what's cool? Like, we started last week and we were talking for a little bit, but then you went quiet for like a straight hour. And I don't know what was said, but something sparked something, and you wrote like 4 pages of your screenplay right there. Yeah. And and that's shit. What I think is, being in a room with creative people, and even if we're not directly still speaking of it, you're like, oh, let me spin off this, or that inspired me to do something. I know personally, like writing a few songs, I've been inspired by other artists that I like, and songs that they like, and I literally will hear one line from their song, and I'm like, oh, I really like that line. Boom, boom, boom. And I'll have that one line, like 4 words, 5 words, and I'll keep saying it, and then a whole song, 2 16-bar verses come off that. Because we get inspired by people around us, so I really do like these meetings that we're doing, and I like that we're being consistent with them. Yeah. Because that's when the efforts start to compound. Yeah. And I'm really excited that we're doing this. We're gonna start filming and
dude. I like it too. It's fun. It's just even last week what was nice is just have that moment to where I could just be on the computer without anything without being attacked or anything.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, because the baby, as soon as the computer, she wants to be right next to it. So having just a few moments, and it's just nice to get kind of lost in. Like I said, it's It's been a while since I've sat down and wrote anything. I used to write, my essays or stuff for class and things like that. And those would always be fun. It'd be the same thing where you kind of start going and then you can just feel like when words start flowing out. It's just it's a nice feeling. It's good to get on a roll writing and kind of feel something in the life where things are going. And then with this one, whereas I would usually do traditionally more like just literature-based essays or discussing themes or different different literary criticisms or whatever.
Yeah.
And this side being more creative and just making it as you go and feeling like what works right here, what kind of feels natural. Change, like trying to feel that not. I want to. That's why it's gonna be good having you guys to read the stuff as we go through, is to make sure that this thing with having a voice, but I don't want everybody to sound the same. In terms of as it's even being written.
Yeah.
I don't, once we start shooting and acting it out too, everybody's gonna be able to. Their voice will be different. But sometimes like I love Kevin Smith, but a lot of times like everybody in the movie sometimes will all sound like they are. They all have the same vocabulary. They all sound the same exactly.
Yeah.
So it's kind of strange to me for a while. So I don't know. I want to try and find something in there.
And that'll come with us playing around with it,
exactly,
and finding our voice, because this is the first time we're really going to be on like a movie set. I mean, we've all been around like the music video set, which is kind of similar but also different because there's dialogue, not just a song that you're reenacting and stuff. But yeah, dude, I just watching you, I'm telling you, like you were in that flow state, like nothing else was hindering that, and you were just in that creation mode, which is really cool. Before last week, when you did get in that flow state, when was the last time you got into that flow state where like time just wasn't, it just didn't exist and you were just in the moment, you were just getting, is there anything that gets you into flow state like regularly?
Not regularly. That's the thing that makes it tough, is that usually you end up, especially now with the grind of the work and then the kid and then back, just going through the everyday stuff.
Yeah.
It's been tough to pull away and to do anything. Like I want to get back to doing some more painting. That is fun for me, and that's the same thing where working on something where I haven't been painting for a while. So when I start off, it's shitty. I can feel like things aren't. I'm not getting what I want, the lines or the looks or anything. And the longer I go, I can start to remember, or not remember, you just start to get that feeling in of like how to manipulate the paint to where it gets the look that you want. And then I had to go back and I just painted and raced over something in the beginning because just looking back at it, it just wasn't looking as good as what I can do now.
Yeah.
Whether that was a function of not having the right brush maybe, but not knowing I didn't have the right brush because I hadn't got to a point where I've been playing with these ones to see what they could do and everything. So just getting into it, being able to do a rhythm of that again would be nice,
Totally.
And so that's fun. But
the
writing, like I said, it's been tough because I haven't had anything where I felt like writing about.
Yeah.
Necessarily.
Yeah, totally. Well, and guys and girls who are tuned in, fucking Toots is one of the baddest artists around, and y'all just don't freaking know about him yet. But you will. This guy is a freaking genius. He crazy good drawing, painting, and his brother Angel is amazing cinematographer, great director. Like these guys inspire me to get into creation mode and write and stuff. But these guys, freaking artists, and I'm saying it's August 1st, 2018. When people come onto it, you guys' stock prices are gonna be way up, and your art's gonna be crazy, ridiculous, expensive because it's gonna be. People are gonna start to notice it and see it. You guys are freaking amazing, and
I have a cousin that writes music.
no, but you freaking amazing. So it's really cool too that we get to work and feed off and into each other's like craft, because I'm just thinking like my next single, like you working on the cover art for it, and Angel shooting the videos, and then me being in the videos and writing the music, but then we push it on the platforms, and all three of our art forms will be getting notoriety, all in one piece of collective work, as in this movie too. It's going to be something that we put together you're taking the reins on writing and stuff. We're gonna, do what we can and fill in and help where we can, and fill whatever role you need us to fill. But Angel's gonna be behind the camera, and I'll help out with sound, even background,
We're gonna do
whatever.
I think we're all gonna be doing everything.
I know, right?
Pretty much,
It's
yeah,
gonna
I
be
think that's
freaking.
what it's gonna be, yeah. So that's what I was telling you where I was showing him that picture of that thing that looks like we can mock up one of those dolly things or something.
Okay.
Getting things together where I figured we're gonna be pushing each other around, we're gonna be, holding up screens, doing whatever, we're gonna be making sound effects, doing like Foley side stuff,
Yeah.
So it's gonna be
You're gonna be in here fucking playing with your
Yeah, dude.
little
You know what?
cowboy boots.
Yeah.
You know what it just reminded me of though? Remember when we first filmed and we talked about it the last podcast? The very first, the mission statement. We freaking used Christine's wheelchair. Remember?
Oh yeah.
To pull,
Just to pull.
to pull like
so
the
we can
camera and get like
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, that was old.
Yeah, dude. Tito's lugging around that huge camera. Oh god, that's fucking hilarious, man. A wheelchair.
That's crazy.
Man, that's insane. But
I,
yeah, right. Without giving away a ton of like the screenplay in the movie, can we talk a little bit about like the premise or maybe the genre?
Well, yeah, like we talked about, is more of going to be doing like a horror. I think it's not going to be as much slasher, but kind of psychological thriller. I mean, violent, but I think Eli Roth way over here. Original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, way over here, where it's not. If you think about it, not as crazy gory.
Yeah.
Kind of fine, like right in the middle there. So.
Okay.
I don't know. We're gonna go for just again so much the influence of things that we've seen throughout our lives, and just trying to go off of that and not make the same thing, but make our thing, something that we can feel is entertaining, and again just our expression of it.
And we're getting the Aztec vibe, feeling it, so I'm excited about that too. So.
There's things that we enjoy that that are comfortable with. We both have read. I read Conquistador. Yeah. And I played a book about the conquering of the Aztecs by Henry Cortez, and just the fascinating perspective of it, looking at it from that way, and just you study a lot of different stuff too from different more than just the Aztecs. But, just how it's something that we've all. I mean, we even grow up looking at it. If you think about Lowrider magazine, or just things guys
totally.
With those dudes on the shirts, the Aztec warrior guys holding the priestesses, they're like looking like they're about to be sacrificed. So it's just some imagery that's always been around us. Yeah. So using that to kind of inspire and influence this movie, I think feels kind of natural. Yeah, it'll be super
awesome, and definitely. I mean, like you said, I talk about it, research about it, and taking anthropology classes about it. Like, there's a few things that I'll nerd out with someone about, like, for hours. Like, health and fitness, for sure. I'm like, let's lift. A whole day will go by. We'll be in the gym, we'll hang out, we'll go eat, go work out again. But then cultural anthropology, Aztecs, and Mesoamerican in particular. Aztecs, Mayans, the Zapotecs, the Tarascans, the Olmecs, the Mixtecs. I really enjoy learning about that because, like, when I'm learning about it, it takes me, like, I try to envision back then and what life was like, and it was just a completely different culture. But it's crazy because those are human beings just like us. But to see the different ways of life, it's really gives you a broader perspective, I think. And I just think it's fascinating, and they grew their food, they lived off the land, there wasn't sicknesses, there wasn't like cancer, autoimmune diseases that we see now. And then I think, and that's just my brain, my health and fitness and anthropology kind of coming together. I'm like, what is it that we can learn from these past cultures and try to incorporate today to become healthier as a society and as individuals, so that we can be around for our little ones or our mom and dad as they age, and our family, and be around and be our best. And that's what I actually try to do, when I learn something. Okay, this is something they ate and they did on a daily basis, like the cacao powder that Angel wasn't a fan of. The hemp seeds, the chia seeds, I put that in my salads every day. You get the electrolytes, you get the protein. But Yeah. So those two topics I really, really enjoy. A few others, but like if anyone talks to me about those kind of things, I'm like down.
Yeah.
I really want to take a group trip to Teotihuacan. I think that would be awesome. The Teotihuacan people were like 1,000 years prior to the Aztecs.
Mm-hmm.
So they're a group of peoples that I want to study up more on, but their pyramids were, you know, they were up there with the Egyptian pyramids, and yeah, no, I really like that we're playing off the theme with a little, Mesoamerican natives, and yeah, I'm excited about it, man.
I don't know, me too. I think it's a good, like a good paint spot to have. Some colors. You throw it out and you can work with it.
Yeah, it's a canvas.
Yeah,
for
so
sure.
Interesting. So.
Do you have potential titles to this?
Not yet. Yeah, that's always, even when I wrote other stuff, the title was something that I came to in the middle or towards the end, or some way to wrap everything together. So at this point, we're still, we've all been working together, constructing and kind of getting, A to B. And like I said, just getting the pages going helps out with that to be kind of like where we kind of put out rough, not outline or kind of just different things of some pacing and thoughts of where things are going to go.
Yeah.
And then just finding how that's going to all happen as we write it, I think will be helpful. And then if we get any kind of blocks up where we can, hash things out together.
Yeah.
And then I think, we can find a title in there. And most likely, like I said, I think most likely it would happen during the process where it might jump out while I'm writing something else.
Totally.
Or even from you guys, like I said, if we can come up with something where we discuss the concept enough where we can think of something that will work. And, it's like titles can be interesting, arbitrary at some points, and then really good. And that's a tough one to pin down sometimes when you think about it.
Yeah, sometimes they come just so supernatural.
Yeah, well, it can be simple ones are great, like but then there's like the long, complicated ones. You think from like something from Hatchet to like the craziest title I think of recently is what is it, Edge of Tomorrow, or is it Live, Die, Repeat, Edge of Tomorrow, or something like that, where it's like a big title.
Jeez.
So every once in a while, it's just finding something that'll work.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's always for me, the title's like putting that just at the top, that cherry at the time I get done writing something.
Yeah.
That was it was nerve-wracking or kind of a pain, but it was always kind of really satisfying to finally settle that title and put it on there. It always felt really good. So I feel like that's where naturally that would come for me at the end, but we'll see.
Cool.
Yeah.
Sounds good. You did mention that you have your buddy Ryan. You want to feature one of his tracks.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, tell the audience about.
If Ryan's watching this.
Yeah. No, dude.
Shouts to Ryan.
Ryan Alderman. No, I haven't brought it up to him yet, but just a local band over
Sweet.
the falls that been following for a while. That they're great. Ryan, who I've known for a while too, he's the drummer in that band, and they just they're great. They have awesome songs.
music.
Yeah, the Sleepy EP, and just I can't think of the rest of them right at the top of my
head. Yeah.
But they've got some great albums, and so. Their music, I feel like that was another thing that helped inspire some spots and some scenes that I thought would really fit in. It's just got great energy, so encourage people to check it out. And
plug them. Over the Falls.
Yeah, Over the Falls. Yeah.
Do they have like a website or any
I'm sure you
social
can check them out.
handles?
Over the Falls. They usually have like Facebook and stuff.
Okay.
Local
Over the
shows around
Falls.
Santa Rosa and
Rock
Sonoma and all that stuff. So. Yeah.
Nice. No, when you played me that one song that you wanna have in the film last week, I was like, dude, that's fucking awesome.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, dude. So, I think they'll be stoked about it,
Yeah, I'm hoping. So that's why I think we can run it by them.
That's your boy,
So.
Yeah, it should be super chill. Fucking, what else can you share? I know you don't want to give too much about.
Well, it's just tough to give too much about just because we haven't ironed it all out yet. So I feel like it's really flexed out. But I feel like it'll be interesting. We already know that we're eventually all going to be playing probably more than one part.
Roles,
more than one part in these things just to have scarcity. But I think it's fun too, where I was writing as I was kind of just jotting down ideas here and there. I started just scanning through. You think about your friends that your immediate buddies and stuff. Like, oh yeah, I gotta get Fuller in here, I gotta get Abe in here,
Yeah,
Raymond and stuff too. It's like, Bob's get, like I said, Justin, I feel like he's gonna be our main dude if he's cool with that.
Cool.
I'd like for him to be our main baddie because I think he filled the part out pretty well.
Yep.
But yeah, it's cool. So it's interesting.
Yeah. Do we have an estimated day of beginning to film in mind?
Not yet,
No.
I think, but I think as we start getting more of the writing done, then we can kind of see, because I want to get the screenplay side of this thing down, and then from that we can translate it over and look into making, look at the actual screenplay and block it out to like what are actual scenes, like what would be shot scenes, like from here to here would be set up or a shot scene and stuff. So that's what I was kind of doing, just not like a shot list, but kind of like shot.
Kind of, yeah.
Kind of a shot list of where I thought, key little points of stuff where I'm going to have to go in from here to here to here. And then so we can see about laying that out, and then that way we can kind of see what we're going to do kind of in chunks of, so, where we can go in one spot and get all of that done, get whatever spot, if we need to go somewhere else, get all of that done. That way we're not, just chasing our tail, kind of all discombobulated.
Yeah.
And then at the same time too, doing some storyboarding definitely would be nice to add into that. So once we've got those put together, so I feel like I said, with Angel's stuff right now, where we're talking about that sound cue with the cuts, like being able to even storyboard some of those shots would be nice. Not like really detailed, but just kind of rough stuff of angles and things, from camera angles and stuff would be nice. And then once we have those angles storyboard, we can look into exactly how we can pull off shooting them too, if they require us to, get higher, we're gonna need to put a ladder or something up here, or should we be like, whatever kind of thing we can do to kind of work out how feasible it is. Because I mean, we're not getting cranes or anything or doing anything crazy like that. So again, how we could be, show some ingenuity and get things done. So, or how complicated, or maybe if we look at it, we're like, feasibly, it would be too tough to do it at this angle, but is there another thing we can do or compromise? So kind of do all that trial and error, kind of work out stuff before we're on the scene, because I mean, you can already, when you do a barbecue and you start doing stuff, things can go off kilter and you have to kind of make things go, make things up as you go. So I can only imagine getting in to start shooting the actual whole big, scenes and stuff where things go this way or that to have to make up on the fly. So being as prepared as we can, or work things out and have the idea ahead of time, to where then when we, something comes out of nowhere, we can react to it and not be already in a scramble before we got to it, basically. Because that's where I don't want to be, where we're going to be frustrated, and then we can't focus on doing the best thing that we can, or we're just ready to rush and take it out, and then we've got something that's not, up to any good standard, basically.
No, I mean, if you don't plan anything and properly like plan it out, outline it at least, you're just setting yourself up for failure. You're running around like a chicken with your head cut off. Can you close the door, sweetheart?
But I think it's fun. It's been fun so far, and it's not like our main jobs or anything, but I really feel like the more serious we take it, the better, because you see so many crappy movies nowadays. And it's like, I don't want us to be one of those crappy movies. I want us to be, I'm not expecting Hollywood here, but we've got some pride on ourselves there, whether it's a sin or not.
Oh yeah, totally.
To put out
our best foot forward.
Not a joke, even if it's meant to be funny, that's one thing, but we don't want to put out a joke.
Yeah. So. Well, the other thing too is like that. You mentioned it's not our full-time job right now. It's not our 9 to 5. But what I'm thinking long term for life is what's great about the films and also my music and art. You can create systems where it's passive income, where you're getting paid. And that's just one of your income streams. And once as time goes on, you have that income stream and another one that you build and another one that you build that are constantly feeding you and getting that that mailbox check and the mailbox money. So that eventually you can step away from a full-time job and your needs are met and you can live your life. You can spend time doing what you love to do, whether it's painting. spending time with your family, traveling.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the great thing. Like with my music, you know, I get paid per stream on YouTube, on Spotify. I know there's the same thing with the film industry where we get residuals. So yeah, man,
Well, that would
we're
be the idea. for
collectively growing, and this is just the first project. So it's in that perspective, it's really exciting because we're just gonna learn, grow, and then release something else, and then something else, and we're gonna have these revenue streams that are coming in, and have more disposable income that we can, you know, invest in other people's projects and help people and be pillars and staples in our communities and, you know, leaders. So I'm excited about that.
See, that's more noble than what I have in my head. See, for me, it's just like, maybe it's a vanity thing where you see angels off the camera. So you should just put your head like right here so you can see in there. We'll just talk to you as you face out. But it's like, I think after getting this ball rolling is like the old, like the light at the end of the tunnel of it too. It's like seeing that fucking cover thing, like on the Netflix or on the Amazon thing or like the download screen thing,
right?
Like going through, I'll see like, oh fuck, there's our movie right there, you know, and then having
yeah.
people actually clicking on that motherfucker and watching it.
Oh, dude,
you know what I mean? That just seems so awesome.
Dude, it is freaking
so
awesome,
like,
and that's
what.
totally.
But there's like
chill
such
too,
a
man.
responsibility with it, where it's like, you can't make a piece of shit. Like, you know, not making again a masterpiece, but making something that, you know, that's not a joke. So
That's watchable.
But again,
Definitely
our
watchable.
best foot forward.
Oh,
and this is our first film.
Well, I just have confidence in what we can do. That's what I mean.
I know.
In terms of what, that's what I think with what we're
iPhones
shooting at.
these days.
Yeah.
And Angel's got stuff. He's got the cameras, but even just on freaking iPhones.
That's what I think.
And laptops, and you know, $50 microphones and shit. Like, it's being resourceful and just grinding it out. And I really love that. Like, it's a collaborative effort, and we're working on this together. As my music was too. You know, you guys were in the studio when we recorded a track. You guys gave me some ideas, some feedback, and actually was part of my songs. Working, I remember when you were still over at your parents' house. I remember one day you were painting, and you were playing some music, and I was just like writing, and I wrote a track while you were painting. Yeah. You know, and I really like that collaborative. Even just being in the presence of someone else who's being creative really helps and inspires and like influences, you know, my art. I don't know about you guys, but yeah, no.
It definitely does. Each time with that's what I said. Going to watch you do your stuff at the studio, or watching you perform at Sonoma State, or when you got different things going on.
Yeah.
When you drop a new video or something, or just the album, The Last of Mashika or something. Yeah. Too. All that stuff, like it gets the wheels turning in your head. At least for me too. Like when I listen to stuff, that makes me think about that. Then I think about, you know, Aztlan Industries, or so we'll talk about where we, you know, had different video ideas for other things that we've talked about.
We got shit.
I feel like the movie one is just the one that's the latest thing that's gotten the most in the skin and under the ground, and so it's gotten the most kind of teeth in it for everyone and going with it. But it's been cool. So I think we keep going. So I'm excited to keep writing. So.
No, me too, totally. I'm excited about it. Well, let's tell the people who are just getting introduced to you. Like I said, you're not really active on social media. You got the Twitter, but I want the world to know you because like you are so cool. You're one of the, like my favorite people of all time in my life who've been influential in, like you and Angel. You guys are like, you mean the world to me. And I want
the world to us, man. Family.
Yeah, for sure. I want people to know who you are. You know, a little bit of your backstory. Santa Rosa native. I mean, you're born in El Paso, much like me.
El Paso, but El Paso born.
Santa Rosa raised.
Sonoma County, basically raised. Right?
Yeah.
Santa Rosa now pretty much is the hardcore there, but we've gone from, you know, Petaluma to Windsor to. Or Petaluma, Park, Windsor, but eventually Santa Rosa is the spot. So enjoying living here, obviously, like everybody else. So
it's beautiful here.
It's great.
People got to come visit Sonoma County. We got more than wine, but yeah, it's gorgeous here.
I think we're actually like a beer like
Yeah.
destination now. That's taking over by wine, at least for
Sonoma County,
like,
right?
right in Sonoma County, Santa Rosa. Yeah,
There's
I think-
beer everywhere. People are
Yeah,
making.
but the influx of that, the microbrewing.
Yeah, microbrewing,
Yeah.
Lagunitas being in Petaluma, and what's that one across the street? Hen House, right?
Yeah, Hen
Yeah,
House,
you guys
yeah.
been sipping on their brews
Yeah.
lately.
So obviously we like beer, or I like it.
Beer.
Nice, good beer.
Brews too, like
Yeah.
kombucha brewing. You got that Revive place. Remember
Oh,
we
yeah.
met them at Rivertown Revival? They
Yeah.
were super chill. Hooked us up with kombuchas like all day.
Yeah.
Rivertown
Very good.
Revive. They're in Petaluma. They're awesome. I actually used to do their pest control
Mm.
when I was working at Nature Science. Those people are great, and they follow me on Instagram. So Revive Kombucha, if you're watching, shout out to Revive Kombucha. You guys are super dope. What else? So what else are you into? I mentioned briefly that you're an artist.
Yeah, well, I do. Yeah, I enjoy drawing, painting. I've always have enjoyed doing that as a kid. So would like to do more of it. But
Sweet. What's your favorite like form of art? Like your media, like paint, sculpting?
Probably painting is the most fun for me now. It's just I'm just doing acrylic painting. I haven't gotten into as much oil painting. I got some oil paints to try out.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten deeper into that. It's a little more expensive, so it's hard to play with it. And you need more finesse and a little bit more experience with some of the different stuff with it. But eventually I want to play with it.
Okay,
But
cool.
I do enjoy just throwing some acrylic around, which is fun. And I would like to do some sculpting. I keep thinking about me and Angel watch that Face Off show a lot, which is all the movie prosthetics.
Oh yeah. You
So
guys
they do all that stuff.
did mention that.
And
Yeah.
so they do a lot of clay sculpting to get their forms out first to make like a mask or like
Gotcha.
not a mask, but like a makeup thing or so. Looking at the sculpting stuff looks like fun. I've never only done like one time. That was like in elementary school. So
Yeah, when I think of like sculpting or anything like that, I always think of Ghost.
Yeah.
That sways into me more.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, I did one of the nicest cups I got. I got a mug from the Gravenstein Apple Fair in Sebastopol from some guy that does, it's called like Viking pottery or something like that.
Yeah.
And he does all like the different plates and the mugs and stuff. It's pretty
Nice.
sick. So you can see where, like that dude took it and run with it. So it looks like something fun to do. But
Yeah.
haven't gotten that deep into there.
Nice.
It'd be fun. I like, obviously, I like amateur wrestling, so, I was a big WWE fan too back in the day, all that stuff, or WWF, sorry.
WWF, bro.
They've been, it's all the freaking just
Hell yeah.
overexposure to that media. They just go in your face.
Yeah, I know. But this guy was a freaking amazing athlete too. So he's one of the smartest dudes I've ever met. One of the most artistic dudes I've ever met. But a freaking great athlete, like freaking all-American wrestler over here. This guy was a savage. Like, dude, U.S. Olympian over here.
No.
You were a great wrestler.
I was a good
You were a
wrestler.
great wrestler.
Good. I was a decent wrestler. I was pretty good.
This guy's super
I
modest.
enjoyed that, definitely enjoyed it. And then the most fun I had actually later was coaching it. Later.
Yeah.
So doing that at the high school and the middle school, that was a lot of fun. I started doing that when
How'd you get into wrestling?
Accidentally? Oh, both. Yeah.
Like
myself personally, even was accidentally too.
Really?
I was just at I think it was 8th grade, and I was gonna leave school, gonna head to the bus, and one of the guys a kid that I'd known since elementary school, his name was Clint Howard. He was like, he must have been like 200 pounds in like 8th grade or whatever. Like, so he was a big kid.
Yeah.
And he was like, hey, how you doing? What are you doing? I was like, where you going, Clint? He's like, I'm going to wrestling. I was like, wrestling? He's like, yeah, man. It's like, WWF, they got like chairs and stuff and drop kicks and things. And I was like, I just had this look. I was like, what? Really?
Hell
and
yeah.
He's like, yeah, man. And so I was like, that's crazy. So like the next day, or that night, I told my parents, I was like, oh, so I think I'm going to go check out wrestling at school so I won't be home, And so I went to the wrestling practice the next day. And fucking Clint wasn't there. So I don't know what
You found out there were chairs.
that other day and never told me. So I went down and expected
He already had his entrance music picked out and he was like, fuck
he had the fucking Ultimate Warrior tassels on the biceps and shit.
He already knew his finishing move and everything.
But he wasn't there. But I just was sitting there and I'd already fucking missed my bus and was hanging out. So I was like, let me just check it out and see what's going on.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was my personality for the most part. Usually if I'm in a thing, I just, people tell me what I need to do and I've said I have to do it, I'm just going to do it. So
Yeah.
I was in there learning the different stuff and it was just interesting and so kept going day
Nice.
after day. And then I can typically, I don't know what it is, I don't really complain too much about a lot of stuff usually, so it was kind of funny. One of the first things, like it must have been like my second day, and the coach was like, Armando, come here. And it's my PE teacher, Dennis Olson was my first wrestling coach.
Yeah.
And he's an old dude. He was old even then, and he's still running. He's just like they call him Mr. Oldskin.
Nice.
He's just so old, but he's an awesome dude.
Yeah.
And he brought me over. He's like, I'm going to show you guys a crossface. And so he was had me down in the base position, I think it was, and then he was like
What's
over
the base position?
It's like you're on your knees and your palms or whatever, like just in your base. And then so he was showing a crossface from like behind, like as if he was on the top. And he goes through and he's like, so you just go from here and you go to here, and he basically punched me in the face, like right, and he gave me a black eye.
Oh no shit.
He gave me a black, so I got home, I had a black eye, so my mom was pissed about that. But
This
I was
is
like,
how Mr.
Mr.
Olson fucking kept teaching. It's like, hey, fucking wrestling's coming up.
Hell yeah.
I'm gonna fucking beat the shit out of something.
yeah, he was like knocking the shit out of me, dude, but I was like, I remember being like, oh, but like that, but just,
Yeah.
this was like, I don't know, I could take it. It wasn't like, it didn't bother me. Like, it's interesting with some kids, like, we'll have some kids come out, it's like they can't handle parts of things because things hurt, things sometimes are uncomfortable.
It's a physical sport,
so it's like, it never bothered me. So I enjoyed learning the technique of everything. Because back then, even so, it's like I've never was like the biggest or the strongest kid out there.
Yeah.
So the more I would just learn, I'd listen to what they told me, and I'd learn to do the stuff, and I'd work on it. And then once I got the things down, I could usually, even if somebody was bigger than me or stronger than me, I could usually still get a win out there by just using the technique.
And the work ethic too,
Oh yeah, well, I mean, that was the best part about sports for me, was just, it's always about who's in the room with you, with different things. Like, I remember even in PE, like I had one class where we were doing, I don't know if it was a mile or a mile and a half or something, and I had two guys in my class that were my friends, Ezra Becker and David Jones. And Ezra was just he still is, I think, fucking like a crazy athlete, just, top of the food chain with things, and just run for days. He played soccer, did all this, and basketball too. And so he was just leading the pack, and I remember just chasing him and things, just like keeping the pace with it, like just trying to I just wanted to be up there with those guys.
Yep.
And so like I had like the best mile I'd ever run then. I was like 6 something or whatever.
Nice.
And I just remember being like, if those guys weren't up there doing that, I wouldn't have had that time, because I wouldn't have known like to push, what that pace was. I feel like.
Hell yeah.
So it's just it's good to have those people out there. It was the same thing with wrestling. Like we had a guy on the team who was another friend of mine, Nolan Zwickle, and he was, took it very seriously. And so when you get into those spots where like you're, holding things for time, or you're pushing for these extra things, where you're just kind of grinding something out, to look around and see those other guys pushing, it's like, when you get there and, how far can you go, or who can be the last one, those were always fun little things to do, because it just kind of pushed you out to, your little breaking point at the time. And at that, when you're like 18, or, from middle school up to, being 18, those times, like, you can just hammer the hell out of yourself and just bounce back.
Yeah, you got all that HGH pumping through your body,
exactly.
so
it's
you
like
heal faster.
You're just competing with each other,
No,
and just
totally.
want to go through and, just heal like Wolverine, so
Yeah,
it's great time.
yeah, exactly. Well, wrestling, see, I appreciate and I actually regret not wrestling. I know thinking about it now, I was like, dude, I wish I would have done it, but back then I was like, no, I'm not wearing that fucking, what's it called?
The singlet,
The singlet, yeah. I wasn't about it. But the cool thing about wrestling is it is a team sport, but it's also individual. So like everything's on you. If you didn't train hard, if you didn't practice hard, if you're not prepared, you have no one else to blame but yourself. Whereas, my main sport was football, and you could be playing super hot, like, having the best game, highlight reel right there.
Yeah.
But your team could mess up and you guys lose, And so it's a difference in the kind of sport. Like, and that's why also I like lifting.
Yeah.
I'm on my own, I can push myself, no one else can hinder me or interrupt my flow state, because I get in flow state when I'm lifting. If I'm going for a PR, I'm trying to lift heavy, even if I'm training with someone that day, you know, like I'm in the zone and you're training yourself and nothing else hinders you. So I really I like that about wrestling, that you just, you know.
Yeah, well, it's an individual focus first, and then your success is what
contributes.
Yeah, creates the team success.
Yeah, that's cool.
And so the better that you do, the better the team does. Whereas with football's tough because there's so many moving parts to it. And then the strategy, the whole coaching.
Coaching, yeah.
Which, I mean, there is that in wrestling too, to some degree, but not as where it's this back and forth. You know, it's more like setting lineups and stuff.
Yeah.
With wrestling, moving this guy to this way, or kind of shifting things up, or maybe some position kind of calls and things like that. But not as much as offense, defense, play calling back and forth kind of thing. Because again,
the coordinators.
You've got the wrestlers. It's up to what they can pull out sometimes, and people surprise us so many times. It's great. That's one of the things about the coaching that was so awesome, was being able to just, for me, the practice room was really a lot of the great times, because
That's
these kids, a lot of these kids, they've never wrestled before, of course, which is not surprising. I hadn't wrestled before 8th grade, even though we look around the country a lot. Some kids were wrestling since 5 or all the way up, which would have been great. But getting them and seeing them where they've kind of got new baby deer legs, where they don't they're in there and they're just kind of flopping around Bambi on ice.
Yep. And
then seeing them progress to learning technique and having something that's that was always really satisfying. Seeing having a kid, he couldn't hit this double, he just wasn't feeling right, and then just kind of looking at, the more you do it, where you get your ideas you know what, just shake this out, jump, do this one little thing. I remember doing that one time with a kid, just telling him to do one little thing, just to do a little bit of a hop to kind of just get him to relax. And then the next thing he hit was just a thing of beauty. It was this wonderful double leg, and just seeing the other coaches looking at him, it's how'd you pull that out right then? It's just, you gotta, it's a feeling thing with these kids, where you gotta read them and see what they will actually give them support, or what's gonna do for it, what's gonna, a little tweak,
Well, that comes down to being process oriented, because a lot of people, some people like to, game day, I'm looking good, it's a showmanship, but being process oriented and saying, hey, the process is actually the reward, and enjoying that's exactly what you just described, and that's what it's all about. Seeing that, I'm an amateur, I'm a beginner, I'm an amateur, now I'm learning, and I'm getting better each day. And even though some days it's tough and I'm hitting these blocks, but I'm going to work through it and I'm going to enjoy it. And then when you do see it, it's oh, damn.
Yeah.
That felt good,
Oh, yeah.
Being process oriented is big, and not just in sports, but in life. Enjoying and learning through and enjoying the struggle as you learn sometimes. Whatever aspect in life, work, family, yourself, you're trying to become a better person. Just remember to enjoy it as you're going through it, and you definitely have it down. But wrestling, who's your favorite freaking wrestler?
Probably, I think I just go with John Smith. I think, Oklahoma State's coach right now. He's just,
okay. I'm talking WWE.
That's what I'm saying. I was he does not
I know you're talking about
Bob's climbing up the top rope right now.
I'm about to get this fucking chair.
No, I'm thinking he's multiple-time Olympic world champion, badass coach, just creating a whole new kind of offense, and just super intense master strategist, But yeah, check out John Smith highlights. Yeah,
all right.
WWF favorite wrestler. That one's tough. There's so many characters.
Give me your
man.
top five.
Top 5. Man, that's tough. Even that one's tough too. Yeah, right.
Yeah. The Cena guy? You fucking like Cena?
Well, that's nah. I thankfully, being a 30 plus, I've aged out a little bit.
Yeah.
But I do have nostalgia for the old days. I mean, you know, Hulk Hogan was my guy. You know, just growing up with that in that era, of course. You know, say your prayers, eat your vitamins. You know, come on, brother.
Yeah, brother.
All that stuff. Yeah. So I mean, that's definitely in there. So Hulk Hogan for sure. But there was also
Macho Man? You Macho Man?
Macho Man, of course.
Slim Jim?
I love the Macho Man.
There's a lot of the NWO guys, man.
Oh.
Like,
Well,
That was yeah.
WCW.
NWO guys for sure, but for me it was before NWO. I was a Razor Ramon fan.
Ooh, and that was my. Did you guys know that was my nickname?
Razor Ramon.
No.
In Pop Warner? So, Mighty Mike year. That's so funny. A lot of my coaches is so funny. Mighty Mike's. Me and my boy Gino always talk about this. Our coaches fucking loved wrestling.
Yeah.
So, like, Wednesdays they'd come to practice, like, did you see SmackDown last night? Did you watch WCW last night? Did you? And one of our coaches had a long black trench coat, and he would like dress up like try to be like Sting.
Yeah.
But one of my coaches had a big old handlebar stash. Coach K, he was so chill. He just liked me. Like I was always coming in first in the lap, so we'd condition. I work hard.
Yeah.
He'd be like, I like this guy. This guy's Razor Ramon. And that's how he talked, dude. He's like, Razor Ramon. And I actually just had a friend message me on Instagram the other day. He's like, what up, Razor? And his R's were kind of W's. But it was so, we're like, Razor Ramon. And I was like 9 years old. He was calling me Razor Ramon. And he called me that. Dude, if I fucking run into him, he'll call me, hey, what up, Razor? So chill. That guy's so
Scott Hall, man, he was the man.
Oh,
Smooth.
man.
Then you got, I mean, you can bounce around. That's tough. I think about even, Eddie Guerrero.
Ooh,
yeah,
El
yeah.
Paso, R.I.P.
Paso,
R.I.P. to
one of my
Guerrero,
favorites
dude.
to watch, man. Hitting up, go through his stuff.
Yeah. He was
cool. That was
he's a good
cool, man.
showman. I like his Rey Mysterio too.
Oh yeah, Rey Mysterio's
Rey
great.
Mysterio's got the badass moves.
But they both come from like wrestling, like big wrestling families.
Oh, okay.
Guerreros and the Mysterios,
Nice.
yeah. So like from like going back for sure.
Yeah.
But Guerrero, man, with that frog splash and everything.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it was just always fun to watch. So sad. Really sad when he died.
Yeah, my pops, I mean, he got me into wrestling. Him and my grandpa used to watch it when my dad was younger. But, Hulk Hogan, same thing. Macho Man. It wasn't until recently my boy Brandon Cannon, he told me that Macho Man had a rap album.
Oh, really?
He put out, you didn't know that either? Yeah, dude, like, when him and Hulk Hogan, like, broke up, that part, he put out, like, a full diss album. You can probably find it on YouTube, bro. And he's rapping. I fucking gotta buy this album. It's amazing. R.I.P. dude. R.I.P. Dude, all the savages died. Macho Man Randy Savage. Yeah. Oh, man.
Lots of great characters.
Yeah, I was a big fan of The Rock, too.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I remember being in, like, 3rd grade, and me and my boy Matt Johnson, we would, Angel, you remember Matt Johnson? Oh, yeah! Like, after school, like, if we weren't playing sports, we'd, like, pretend WWF,
Mm-hmm.
And in 3rd grade, I was like, dude, I'm The Rock, man. I had to be The Rock. So Rock definitely, I know now he's huge, but back then, when I liked him, I was, again,
Before when it was Rocky Maivia.
Yeah, we watched
there you go.
The goofy, like, Jerry curl haircut.
Yeah.
Crazy armbands and stuff.
Oh man, that was good times. Big Boss Man, you remember Big Boss Man?
Big Boss Man, he was a good hero.
I remember him.
I liked, Ravishing Rick Rude was a crazy dude. He was
Undertaker.
cool.
Kane.
Undertaker. Of course.
Yeah.
Undertaker.
I names the guys after Kane, dude.
Ooh.
Jackass.
Middle name.
Mr. Perfect. I always liked Mr. Perfect. Then $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase.
Yep.
Forgot all about that guy.
Ric Flair?
Woo! Ric Flair is a legend for sure. I mean, Angel's favorite wrestler was always Gold.
China.
Gold. I was like, I was gonna try and cut you off. But he said Shannon. I was like, yeah.
Oh shit.
Oh yeah, she was my favorite too. I like Shannon.
He
Lita. Yeah, you know, was get into
China.
It's
Nice. Yeah. I was a Steve Austin fan too.
Oh, yeah, Steve Austin.
Like, that guy's such a savage. You're drinking the beers.
well, I mean, we were always. I think we watched a lot of NCW too back in the day. So like, we did watch a lot of Sting and.
Oh, okay. NCW was the other one, right?
Or WCW. Sorry.
Okay, yeah. I was like,
I don't think I ever watched NCW.
Okay.
I don't know what NCW is in my head for.
Yeah, I don't.
Something. I feel it sounds familiar.
Yeah,
too.
it does. WCW, yeah, with
Yeah.
Sting, the Wolfpack.
Yeah.
Yeah, remember that? And I remember there was like a white face and a red face Sting. Remember that? When there was like two Stings?
Yeah.
I was like, who's Sting? Who is?
They're both
No.
Sting,
I was like, who's the imposter? Yeah, I remember that. Who else was in WC? Goldberg was in that
Oh
one.
yeah, Goldberg.
Goldberg.
DDP.
He was the Steve Austin knockoff.
Yeah.
Goldberg.
Keone hella liked him, dude.
Yeah. No, he was.
Keone was rocking the sweatbands.
Yeah. elbow pads and everything.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I was never a big Goldberg fan.
That is alright.
Yeah.
Yeah. Diamond Dallas Page for sure. Yeah, he was pretty badass.
Yeah.
I mean, our first DVD ever that me and Angel ever had was that Ready to Rumble DVD.
Ooh.
Because our dad got us like our first DVD player that was just some like super, like our uncle just wanted to throw it away because he was like, man, it's fucking, it's got the stupid lines like
got the bars.
It's got the top and the bottom. It's like I can't get them to go away. I don't want this. You want this? And we're like, dad's like, yeah, I'll take it. So we got it, and then back then we got the lines to get off, like we turned to like letterbox something to get rid of the lines.
Yeah,
Even though nowadays, like, you know, everybody wants that widescreen because it's like when we were younger, we didn't realize they were cutting off probably like 3/4 of the picture or something.
Yeah, I still don't like that shit.
Yeah.
I know Angel's like, yeah, you get more, you get more of the shot. I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't care, fill up my screen. I got a 43-inch screen for a reason. Fill that shit up, man.
But that was pretty funny because we had that was like the one DVD he bought at one point or something like that. And
Ready to rumble.
yeah,
The first DVD I got was
I watched it like 50
The
times.
Outsiders, I think.
Ooh, Pony Boy.
That was one of the first ones.
That's a
The one
good
that you
one.
bought?
Yeah.
Because I remember Dad brought that Ready to Rumble.
You bought that one?
Yeah, he brought
That's a
that
good
one.
one. That's
Yeah.
a good
They-
Well, because those
Yeah, it's a good
Outsiders,
look.
I remember those were like in like a section of the DVDs that was like, they were all expensive at the time. And then like those ones were like $10. And I was like, that's what's up.
That's the one.
I was like, I like that Outsiders movie. And I got that one. I remember I got like
never
Joe's
seen it.
Apartment.
Oh, yeah.
Can't remember any of the other
Is
ones.
that the one with like all the roaches?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you do pest control.
I haven't watched it since actually. So maybe we
Dude, we should watch that on a live show
Or
and
we
like
should
a
do a
reaction.
commentary
shit.
for it.
Yeah, dude, that'd be badass.
Uh,
Yeah, that's
that
good
was
shit.
so ridiculous.
What about, okay, so that's first movie. What's your first album you guys remember buying? What's first CD? Or tape even?
Fuck, dude.
I don't know about the first album.
Me and y'all were just talking about this the other day.
That's really hard for me to say.
I had Will Smith's album, Big Willie style.
You bought it with your own money. You bought it. You went out and
Or
bought it.
I probably told my mom I wanted it, and then
Mhm.
she gave me money, and I went and bought that. Yeah. it was-
Oh, okay.
I remember the album. He's like standing there. He's got his
Yeah,
hand
yeah.
up in the air and had getting jiggy with it on it, Miami.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
yeah.
dude, I was like, yeah. That album was pretty tight though.
You know what's interesting for me is like I don't remember the first one, but the one album that I remember really going out and having to get
mm-hmm.
was, which led us down a rabbit hole eventually, was the Disturbed's first album. Because bringing us back to WWF, I'd heard their song on like WWF, like it was playing in somebody's intro. Or like they had like a
They would have snippets.
yeah, they had like a
okay.
piece, like a
before.
snippet or something, or like a video, like where they did
Yeah.
something, and so
Yeah.
they played that song, and I was like, dude, what the fuck? I gotta go get that. So I remember going down to like, I was like, gotta get to Best Buy, get that album. So I had to go find it. It was like somewhere out there, but that was one I remember getting. I bought that album 3 times, and I probably lost it.
Oh damn.
And then we all know what happened with Disturbed. How we just, meh.
That was the first time I heard A Perfect Circle too in one of those.
On one of those things.
Yeah.
Nice.
They do. Yeah, see that was one of the benefits of watching it back then was they did spring some like upcoming like rock bands out. Alita's Way was on there.
Really?
Yeah, they had like an opener because I think they're the one that does Invincible or whatever, that Invincible song, and so that was used on somebody's intro. I think.
Which one was that?
I'm feeling invincible tonight.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
That one, like doing that, yeah. It was cool, but I mean, like with our loss of the only rock station in town for us,
Yeah.
like we're pretty much out of the loop now with music in terms of the way we used to get it delivered. And I try and
Weak.
I'm not much for the what is it, the one you like, Pandora.
Mhm.
But even then, it's like the same shit all the time anyway.
Oh
So it's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
you don't
Sure.
really get the same thing as like
I
a
was
DJ.
thinking about like
Like
dumbing
Scott
them
West and
down,
stuff.
thumbing all of them down that I get to see
Stop
like
thumbing them up.
I have a few of them that are thumbed up, but I stopped thumbing them up.
Okay, yeah.
But they'll still come through, so like it's why I'm like I just want to
I
like
like Pandora.
thumb them down.
I got a couple go-to stations. Like Marvin Gaye is probably one of my favorite stations. They got
Yeah.
Marvin Gaye, the Isley Brothers.
Yeah, there's
Luther
good
Vandross.
oldies for
Oh,
sure,
man,
but it's
I
like
love
for me
that
trying to
shit.
find like new
rock.
like rock or metal,
Yeah.
but then it's like maybe like sometimes maybe I find it and it's just like it's now not my style or my taste or whatever. So
Have you tried Spotify?
I don't think I've done Spotify.
Spotify.
I got the
I think
Amazon
s-
Music app or whatever.
Oh, okay, how's that?
I like it.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of access to different stuff, but I think
Yeah.
it's for me. It's like it's another thing to where it's like I have to go like it's an effort thing to go out and
Specifically.
get it all and like trying to search it out. So it's like
Yeah.
I enjoyed having the curation of like because we did have decent DJs back
Yeah.
then in terms of like Scott West and stuff. He would, you know, he knew what the hell he was talking about. So
Yeah.
you know, he would kind of put things. Remember when he did that Stained thing where it's like they're playing the new Stained or something. He's like Stained, or he did Mud Shovel. Stained.
Oh, yeah.
So like he played like an old Stained song. He's like, okay, coming up now we got Stained, Mud Shovel. When they used to be great, or when they were great.
It was like after the song.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like that was Stain, Mud Shovel, back when they were great.
That's funny.
And you wonder, like, did he just think that?
That's great, dude.
But you ever think of that too? He's like, yeah, damn, why are all these Stained songs, the new ones are all so fucking sad and slow?
Oh shit.
But yeah, it's pretty funny. So yeah, we missed that. That was fun. But missed going to shows too. Like the last show we went and saw was one of Ryan's shows, the Over the Falls. They
Nice.
played at that not Averaging, what the hell? It was some type of like, the Furk Theater downtown Santa Rosa. It's like right over by.
Did you go to that
Rome and
Averaging
stuff.
place?
I went to Averaging one time, yeah.
To see Ryan?
Yeah, to watch Ryan play
that's
there
funny.
too.
What was the show we went to in Petaluma at the Mystic together? Remember? We
Tana
ran
Love.
into. Was it?
No, you.
Wasn't it Santa Love?
I think I went with you to see one.
We ran into my boy Carlos. Remember with his girl? We're like, oh what? I hadn't
Was it
seen
like
him
a
in how long.
Funkadelics or something? Like I remember you taking me to see some weird.
I remember we
band and
tried
seeing, like,
Tainted
Gennaro
Love
there.
in Santa Rosa, and it got shut. You guys, you're like, "Ooh,
That was
Tainted
washed
Love,
out,
Tainted
yeah.
Love. Got me all pumped up, and then
And then it got shut down.
Shut
They
down
got
by the
lit
fire department.
Yeah. Hey, so
Okay.
yeah, you made your fucking money back.
I'm a hustler, baby.
Yeah, that was the shittiest one. Fucking the poor last day. So that's
Oh,
another
God.
aspect of why we've lost rock at the damn in the town, is because that was such a great venue. The Fox and the
Yeah.
Last Day Saloon feeding each other, bringing in music.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, going to those cover band, the Tainted Love for the '80s cover band was always good. But then yeah, they oversold that one time.
Yeah.
Kicked us out
Was
twice,
it
I
not
think.
Tainted Love in Petaluma? Missed it?
I think it was.
So. I don't remember going to Petaluma.
I think it might have been. Like, you guys were like, we're taking you finally.
Really?
I want to say it was, dude.
At the Mystic?
Yeah.
For whatever reason, I was thinking of the Phoenix. You got it.
Hmm.
You said Petaluma, it brought me to the Phoenix. So I
Okay.
remember going to the Phoenix show, I think, with you.
Yeah. I had a booth one time.
Yeah, that was
Angel was
nice.
with me. That was the Phoenix.
Did we not go to the Phoenix and we saw Gennaro there? Or did I go
Who's
to
Gennaro?
my friend Gennaro from school? Remember the guy that Angel hugged or whatever?
I tried to hug him,
At
and
the
he
JC?
was like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Well, he was
No.
a guy, I wrestled with him
Okay.
when I was in school. He was a couple years younger than me. And,
He was the same grade as me.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
he didn't want no hug?
No, I ran into him like as we were crossing the street, and it was like
At the JC.
at the JC.
I was with you?
Angel,
No.
Oh.
Angel had been wandering around the JC.
Yeah,
like
I was so sad.
Like,
all by
like a
myself.
duckling that's lost its
Yeah.
mom, and it's just like, and then he's like, all of a sudden, out from the, the sea of people, he just sees
A
Gennaro.
face.
Gennaro's biceps and everything there. And Angel was just like, oh.
Yeah, that was pretty much it actually.
Did you hug him from behind or something?
No. I don't know. I think I'd taken like a year off or something. So when I went back, like I didn't see like familiar faces like I did when I had gone.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I saw him and I was like, Gennaro! And I like, it was like it was a weird awkward thing,
I think
dude.
it was because Gennaro's probably like throwing the fist up or something. He's like, hey, what's up?
Yeah, I don't know.
The angels like.
I went for the hug hard.
You got the knife.
I got the knife.
Yeah, like probably his phone was just like, hey, what's up? Man, the angels coming to like wrap
Yeah.
around.
Oh, fucking Geppetto.
That's pretty funny. So they get to talk about that every time. You see the
Yeah.
church.
Oh, you still running into him?
Every once in a while.
Does he hug you now?
I give him a hug all the time. I'm like, you're getting one.
Always.
All the time.
That's fucking great, dude.
It was weird though, cause like it all happened hella fast, and I remember I came home and I was like, "Hey, I saw Gennaro today,"
Yeah.
and he was like, "Oh yeah," and I was like, "I think I tried to hug him." I was like, "I don't know."
That's funny, dude.
I totally got denied though.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
true.
Rightfully so. Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Deal with this.
Good shit. Good shit, Maroki. Man, yeah, I think it was Tainted Love that we went to, and we ran into Carlos. I haven't seen him.
Probably.
Shoot, I haven't seen him since that show, dude.
That was a long
Yes,
time ago.
yeah, it's been a while, man. I gotta hit that dude up. I wonder what he's up to. I'm pretty sure he's still at Lagunitas working there.
Oh,
Yeah, it seems like a bunch of people from my old school work there. And free beer.
Carlos, if you're watching, call Bob.
Yeah, I'll hit him up. But yeah, we just recently went there. Was that first time?
Oh, Lagunitas.
First time? First time?
Yeah,
Second
first time.
Yeah, more
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Good. The burger was good, and
Yeah, I loved it. The food was great and the beer was good.
yeah, I got
And
pretty
the
tipsy
flank.
actually off of just those two
Oh yeah.
big beers that I had. Yeah, I was like,
I
oh,
went
man.
home and took it slow for. That's why I just did little saps and then
Yeah,
that
yeah.
burger. 'Cause, yeah, I was home where
Oh,
I
I know we shot all. How long did we shoot that day?
left to burn the shit on my face. I was
Yeah,
kidding.
we started at. Well, we met for coffee at like 8:30ish.
You got there at like 9?
You got there, and I was at the coffee shop like 8:30. Yeah, I think you guys got there around 9 to the coffee shop, and then we started filming by 9:30.
Probably.
Yeah, and we filmed for a while. That was awesome. I can't wait to freaking get into editing that. We got to plan the group
Yeah.
shot.
Yeah, do this.
You
the
know.
stands shot.
Yeah,
It'd be
maybe we'll
fun.
do like a little
Put
pest
together.
control there first because it was hella Black Widows under that.
The Black Widows.
Yeah, those
the
webs.
bleacher?
Yeah, those when they widows like to make their webs low and they're super erratic. They're never like a nice orb or anything like that. And then you can also tell by when you touch it, it's like really strong and tacky. You have to really like push to break their web.
Yeah, it's like a really dense. Like,
Yeah, they're a
like,
bigger,
you
stronger spider.
Feel it.
You
Yeah.
know? Yeah. But yeah, dude, we'll clean that up. But yeah, I want to get those signs made. I want to get the group shots, and get that film. That was a cool day of shooting. I
Yeah.
really enjoyed it.
I had a lot of fun.
Yanni was great. You guys,
Yeah.
it was super fun.
I feel like that was another one of the inspirational things for even the movie, really.
Mm-hmm.
Too, was doing that, being out there and getting kind of some shots going and getting in that mindset, you know, of basically just filming stuff
Creation.
and looking at things. And like I said, just kind of wanting to push a little bit and, you know, looking for angles and shots and, you know, telling a story or, you know, getting a feeling across. Because that's one of the things that I know that I'm like we talk about with Angel sometimes, like watching a movie and really appreciating was how somebody, you know, get something across or the underlying things that they do
Yeah.
outside of even the plot or just the dialogue, the way that, you know, they choose to put the camera in this spot or to be this close on this point or to push in at this point or to creep in, you know, like I've told Angel one of my favorite scenes, really, it's ridiculous, but, you know, thing to think about, but my cousin Vinny, you know, it's a ridiculous movie, but it's a great
I
movie.
love that movie.
Yeah, it's a great movie, but one of my favorite scenes, really to watch and just to feel, is when he's talking to the judge. What's his name right now? Herman Munster. What's his name? Terrible. I feel bad now. The judge, but anyway, or Joe Pesci's in the judge's chambers and he's talking to the judge, kind of shooting back. Oh, no, actually, it's not the judge. It's with the prosecutor. with Perry White from Lois and Clark. Yeah. So he's talking to the prosecutor. The prosecutor's asking him how he got into, how to become a lawyer.
Yeah.
And so Joe Pesci's basically telling a story about how like a judge, he went to traffic to argue, or court to argue a ticket or whatever, and the judge is laughing at him and basically wants to talk to him in his chambers. But like as he's telling the story, it's where Joe Pesci's been this really outlandish character, like really over the top kind of throughout the whole thing. And in that moment, it really, the whole thing kind of settles down. It's just focused in on him in the chair as he's telling the story, and he's really humanizes the character, and it's really kind of where he's brought down the most of just kind of talking at a super just earnest level to this other guy that they end up they're back and forth jamming each other throughout the movie in terms of being prosecution defense.
Yeah.
But as he's relaying that story, like the camera, you hardly notice it. Whereas he's telling the story, he just kind of just slowly starts pushing in as he's telling the story, and just gets closer and closer in on Pesci as it's going. And it's so subtle, but like as he's telling the story, it brings you in as he's talking and telling this kind of really personal moment. And I always like with the first couple times once I've like felt it and kind of noticed it, I just really love that little bit of just something that they're doing right there. So it's just that kind of stuff. Wow, it impresses me, or I don't know what the kid, but
nice.
It's interesting to me. So being able to see that, like us to be out there and do our thing, even if it's like a little music video that we're doing or something, but to get those little moments where we can, really make something that's interesting or catches the eye, like depending on what the intent is. So like with a music video, to entertain, get some energy across, find ways to do that. So it's fun. Again, it's like the same thing where, if you're writing music or painting, or we're doing this, or we're drawing, it's just a different medium to do something in, so it's just fun to kind of
creating is fun, dude.
Figure out the tools.
Creating is freaking I love it, dude. Just being in that flow state, being inspired, and just putting something out there, putting pen to pad, just hashing out lines and stuff, and just even freestyling while I'm like listening to beats, commuting to work. I'm like and I'll just like repeat that one line or two lines, that single rhyme until the next one comes. I'm like, it's fun. It's it helps. It really helps you keep you strong mentally, and like sharpens you, because like creative. We think back, when were you most creative or use your imagination the most? When you're a kid, and so you get into that state where it really keeps your brain youthful. So never stop creating, never stop trying to get into tap into that flow state that I keep touching back on. Dude, I'm excited about it.
Me too, man.
Oh, it's gonna be sick. It's gonna be sick. What do you think, Ange?
Just gotta keep rest up, get back to work on it, write up some more stuff.
Keep doing these meetups, these masterminds. Yep. All right, guys, ladies and gentlemen, this has been episode number 2 of the Aztlan Airwaves. Make sure to go over to aztlanindustries.com. Check out what we got going over there. We're going to be doing a facelift on the website, but stay tuned. You can check it out. The website's still alive. And this has been my cousin, Mando Chavira, one of the coolest dudes in the world, and a screenplay writer.
In progress.
Screenplay writer. This guy's the man. Angel's the man. Cinematographer, director. Wait till you see what these guys put together. It's going to be freaking phenomenal. These guys are awesome. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for having me, Bob.
Yeah, dude. Thanks for coming, man. I really appreciate you.